All right, so what is the Fundamentals of Engineering or FE exam? So, what this is just a general test to establish competency in your particular field of engineering. And what you would do is you would take the FE exam, you would ideally pass it, and then you would work as an EIT or engineer in training for a few years and then eventually take the PE or professional engineer exam, which is much more difficult, to become licensed in your state as a professional engineer. Now, most people, and this is true for me, or I shouldn't say most people, I should say a lot of people actually just stop at taking the FE exam and just sort of use it as a just to demonstrate competency in general engineering. And I don't know how how things worked at the school that you've attended, but at the school that I attended, there were. I don't think that walking across the stage and getting the degree says a lot. So I think that passing this exam can definitely just help show that you've at least got a baseline understanding of the general concepts. And I especially think that this exam can be helpful if, say, you're in a manufacturing type role, something like that, and you want to bridge the gap to a more technical role like design engineering. I think that having passed this exam can show you just have a baseline understanding of the topics covered in the exam. That being said, there are several different versions of the exam depending on what your field of study was in school. So the civil engineering exam is very common because that PE certification is very common among civil engineers. The mechanical is also really common. So obviously I went to school for mechanical engineering, so that's the exam I took. And just going over the pass rates, honestly, I didn't think the test was that hard. So you can see here, this is people who took the FE for the first time within 12 months of graduating from an ABET accredited university. And looking at the mechanicals, it actually has a 77% first-time test taker pass rate, which is pretty high. So only 23% of people who take this test actually fail it the first time. And I know that it's not uncommon for people to study for 2 or even 6 months to make sure that they're well prepared to take this exam. I actually only studied for probably 2 weeks or so for the exam, and I don't mean that to be boastful. I didn't. It wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. So that was actually a huge relief. I didn't study as well as I was hoping to, and then walking out of the exam, I was like, oh my gosh! I'm glad I didn't waste my time studying for it, because I would have overstudied. And actually, a lot of the questions were things that would have been really hard to study for because they require you to think outside the box. Anyways, so looking at, if you go to the NCEES website and look at the exam specifications, it's got a breakdown of how many questions you can expect from each area. Now, the total number of questions is 110, but the number of questions that you can get in each topic varies. So, everyone's test is slightly different. So the heavy hitters, obviously, you're going to have your math. You're going to have your engineering econ, that type of thing. The really heavy hitters, as you can see here, are going to be your dynamics and vibrations. I don't remember there being a lot of vibrations on my exam, but for sure your dynamics. There's some mechanics in there. The really heavy hitters are the thermodynamics, heat transfer, and fluid mechanics. And those just really compose a large portion of the exam. And I remember my exam actually having a lot of thermo in it. So that's sort of a breakdown of the exam. I think it's helpful to know, what you're looking at going into the exam.